A woman accused of killing a 6-year-old boy in Madera was in court this morning. 31-year-old Josie Dikeman appeared in person at the preliminary hearing. News 8 Now's Dua Israr was at the courthouse where a medical examiner testified about the extent of Alex Xavier Pedron's injuries. Dua?
Ken, Dikeman is facing an intentional homicide charge for the death of Alex Xavier Pedron. She's also facing multiple charges related to child neglect. The medical examiner says those acts of harm were visible on Pedron's body.
Did you perform an autopsy on a 6-year-old child identified as Alex Xavier Pedron?
Yes, I did.
On Wednesday morning, medical examiner Dr. Reed Quinton testified to a full courtroom about what he saw on a 6-year-old's body.
Cause of death in this case was blunt force trauma.
Dr. Quinton stated Alex Xavier Pedron had multiple bruises.
I would say if you look at the totality of the face, scalp, neck, it's well over 10, probably closer to 15 or so.
According to the 16-page criminal complaint, investigators say 31-year-old Josie Dikeman called 911 in February. When deputies arrived on the scene, Pedron was on a bed, unresponsive. In his testimony, Dr. Quinton says Pedron's brain was swollen and there was a tear in his liver.
So there were about 100 milliliters of blood just free within his abdominal cavity. There was also a lot of hemorrhage and bleeding around the head of the pancreas.
Quinton says there was Xanax in Pedron's system that also contributed to his death.
It's a drug that this child, as far as I'm aware, is not prescribed and should not be in his system.
Dikeman's attorney argued that her bond should be waived because there are no direct witnesses that can testify Dikeman caused harm to Pedron.
There are no direct witnesses who will testify claiming that Ms. Dikeman was the individual who inflicted these injuries on the child in question.
Dikeman's attorney also argued that Dikeman does not pose a risk to community members. District Attorney Tim Grinke disagrees.
To say she's not a danger, I think, is false. She's objectively a danger to children. Multiple children in her care have ended up with fractures, falling downstairs, and a death.
Judge Elliot Levine said there is enough evidence to keep the bond at $1 million cash bail. Ken?
All right, Dua, thanks very much. Another preliminary hearing is scheduled for June 9th.